Hello, BookTube, and happy St. Patrick's Day. A week ago, Kelly at Books I'm Not Reading put forth the St. Patrick's Day Challenge, where she called on channels with more than 1,000 subscribers to shout out channels with less than 1,000 subscribers as a way to, for one tide to raise all boats, to draw attention to really good channels that are really small or that, haven't yet tipped that magic 4 digits, that is so amazing. It shouldn't be. When you have a BookTube channel, you know perfectly well if you're starting up good conversations, if you're meeting real people, if you're making contact with real people, you know perfectly well whether or not that's happening. And if that's happening, then you have succeeded. It's only if you're howling into the void with no response whatsoever that you have to rethink things. But if you've started conversations, you start to make contact with other people, then you have succeeded. And no more concentration on subscriber numbers than that need be necessary. Nevertheless, it's been pointed out a few times in very affecting videos over the last year that when you're brand new, you do sometimes pay attention to that subscriber count. You can't help it, especially if, like so many booktubers, you come to this platform and this area of booktube mainly because you don't have all that many people to talk about books with in your real life. That is true for most of the people who come here. And it's worth remembering that if you come for that reason, you are going to pay attention to whether or not you are creating an audience. That's not the shallowness that is the handful of booktubers who look at their subscriber numbers because they're counting the minutes until they can put ads all over their videos and make 12 cents an hour or something like that. That's just normal. It's just human. I myself evaded that in 2 different ways. The first way was that I was introduced to BookTube on a different booktuber's channel. Chris Rhodes at the Reading Rhodes introduced me to BookTube on his channel in a video in which he was specifically calling on his subscribers to urge me to make a video. And as a result, I made the framework of a YouTube channel before I put any content on it. And as I had a body of subscribers before I made a single video because of that. People saw that because of Chris's video and went to make sure that they subscribed to this thing that had no content. That was way number 1, that I evaded that attention paid to subscribers. And way number 2 is that I did not come to BookTube because I lack people to talk books about in my own life. I don't lack people to talk books about in my own life. So I didn't have that itch to scratch. But most people do. Most people who come here do. And so there's nothing shallow about someone looking at their subscriber count and seeing that it hasn't changed in a week. So I'm gonna shout out some channels here. I urge you, I will leave links to them all down below. I urge you to go and subscribe. I bet you will like the content. And the first one we will do here is Mark at Book Time with Elvis, who's made a splash for himself by making a couple of original book tags that everybody likes, that everybody has done. The cheek of him with a BookTube channel that's all of 4 hours old making original tags, and yet it worked. So no one's complaining. And then Erin Go Read, fantastic, smart channel. There's Get Right On In. It's an AuthorTube channel. Lots of book saturation, but he's wonderful company, so you're not going to mind. You're not going to mind at all that it's AuthorTube. Then Michael K Vaughan at Stately Vaughn Manor, who's taking you through his books and an obviously long reading history, and who has occasional guest appearances by something that almost looks like a dog. There's a faint resemblance there. There's Cozy Reading with Quaker Cats. I'm sure she's going to occur on a number of these St. Patrick's Day Challenge lists because her channel's delightful. And I say that despite the fact that, as the name would indicate, every video is positively crawling with cats. I don't know how many she has, but they have clearly taken over her life. It's a kind of hostage situation. I keep waiting for her to blink a code, but it seems to work. Then Gina Stanyer, I'm pretty sure that she will make these lists as well. Just a natural. The same way that we talk about on this little corner of BookTube, what we're mainly doing is talking with each other. We're mainly not pinwheeling around. We're mainly not jumping up and down with fairy lights in the background. We're mainly not pumping AdSense money into our pockets or anything like that. We're mainly not concerned with any of that stuff. We're mainly just sitting and talking to each other about books, starting conversations. Even, I've noticed, sending each other stuff. I don't know how long, I've said this before, I don't know how long BookTube is going to allow this little corner of BookTube to exist. We are not YouTube. This is not greater YouTube at all. Greater YouTube is the exact opposite of this in every way. And this makes no money for YouTube. The things that make money for YouTube are open KKK-style racists like Steven Crowder. And we are the exact opposite. You don't know that name, trust me. He's in the YouTube news right now. You don't want to know that name. but we are the exact opposite of that. And the people who tend to sort of demonstrate membership, if you want to call it that, are the people who are just like that. They just set up the camera and talk. With one degree or another of polish. There's nothing wrong with polish. Just because I don't have any doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with it. But there's a difference between polish and artificiality. I refer once again to the mighty Olive at a book Olive. Watch one of her videos. You will see something that is polished enough to show in a BookTube auditorium anywhere in the world. But she's never made a video that is artificial in any way. So they're not the same thing. And Gina Stanyer, the channel that I'm shouting out here with this long preamble, is like that. She just talks to the camera, and it's delightful. Also, Drawn to Stories from the snowy land of Finland. I believe his name is pronounced Jiri. I've had a Zoom chat with him. He has a small channel. I'm sure that any of these people would appreciate a little burst in subscribers. It's a perfectly natural human thing to look and see, unless it's me, but I'm not a perfectly natural human. And that little period that we went through a month ago, where every time I looked at my channel, it had 200 more subscribers, that period, thankfully, seems to be over. My internet spies have still not managed to give me a conclusive answer as to what happened that caused this channel to explode momentarily in subscriber count. The one thing I don't care about. And yet, for a little period there, a little discrete, self-contained period, it was going up like that. The best speculation that my internet experts have been able to come up with so far is that it was a delayed reaction to Bro Watch, to a feature on this channel. I've only done one episode, a Bro Watch, where I pick some dude bro motivational snake oil salesman and dismantle him. And then I knew that these were popular with you, because I've done this unofficially without that title over the years. Every once in a while, when the spite takes me, I will take one of these poor little wide-eyed, wide-shouldered daffodils and slap them around like clothing on the clothesline in a wind, and the rest of you love it. The rest of you love it because they're so obviously fake that it's just fun to do. The one time I did that with a dude bro charlatan who was not a wide-eyed little daffodil was when I did it with Jordan Peterson. And that was popular too. It's also unpopular. That video still gets negative comments, but only from people wandering in. They find it with a name search. They're not part of us. That's not a conversation. But a while ago, I made a specific video, specifically called Bro Watch, where I do that. And my spies tell me that might be the reason. Well, anyway, the point of this digression was that, unlike me, most other people are going to take a burst of happiness, totally irrational as it is, in looking at their channel and seeing an uptick in subscribers. So, but where was I? I was talking about Jiri, over in Finland, over in snowy Finland. But I've got some more names on my list here. Oh yes, of course, Shawn D. Standfast. Another member of the OGBG, these brontosaurus old guys who have thousands and thousands of books crowding out their lives in all directions. Shawn's had a rough couple of months, just about as rough as they get. A medical emergency that sent him feet first out the door in the middle of the night to the nearest emergency room with the worst possible thoughts. Of course, he's as tough as an old bird, so he managed to live through that, but while he's in hospital over there in the UK, caught COVID. Because hospital precautions, I guess, are so slipshod with this thing, even though we've had a year to get used to it, that it's possible for an extremely vulnerable patient to catch this disease. So he had the typical one, the worst 1-2 punch in the world of an actual medical emergency and then COVID. And he is slowly but surely making a recovery. My heart just goes out to him when I hear him making a video and sort of struggling to catch his breath, because we know now that COVID can often have very long-term ramifications. Sometimes there are plenty of people who report not being able to catch their breath even though it's been a full calendar year since they were sick. But he's still making book hauls. He still likes to talk about books straight to us, straight to the camera. And he's a perfect example of what I'm talking about, right? Because he has a lifetime of experience. And not just bookish. He's had genuine adventures, Indiana Jones style adventures, layer upon layer of them. And he's no more comfortable with the whole experience of technology, of making a video for YouTube than I am, or than Mark Richardson is. He does it anyway because of the communication, because of the community, because of the friendship. And of course, friendships have developed. And there's no artifice. He doesn't have fairy lights. He just sits and talks about the books, what he thinks about them, what he knows about them, maybe something that he's picked up from watching BookTube. And he's a perfect example of what I'm talking about, where you look at the camera and you just, in his case, or in somebody like Todd Oval's case, where you get access for free as a viewer to a lifetime of reading experience. They are perfect examples of something where I look at the channel, and if I didn't know the subscriber count, I would just assume that it was huge, and it's not. And the purpose of Kelly's St. Patrick's Day Challenge is to maybe up that number a bit, so I'll include a link to all of these people. But Shawn D. Standfast, I don't know how many subscribers he has off the top of my head, but I bet it's not even 500. That's crazy. But anyway, then there's another small channel, a rabble-rousing channel, a channel that we absolutely could not do without, and that's the font. Barb is the front person at the font, but she has an unindicted co-conspirator, her unseen collaborator, Isabella, who's always behind the camera. And they make fantastic videos, but they often have a penchant for making thought-provoking discussion videos, type of thing that is just wonderful. And again, I don't know the subscriber count, but when I look at the video without looking at any of the indicia down below, I would assume that it was large, and I bet it's not. So we can correct that. That's the whole point of this little challenge here. And I want to finish up with Kelly's own channel. Books I'm not reading. Kelly is married to a booktuber, Jason, at Old Blues Chapter and Verse. Kelly and Jason are wonderful people. They are the moral heart of our little corner of BookTube. And I think that Kelly is closing in on 1,000 subscribers, which once she reaches it, would mean that she would have to give this challenge instead of taking it. But it would, I think, be totally fitting. A challenge that is designed to be selfless, that is designed to be giving, that is designed to help other people, is 100% a pure Kelly challenge. It's a 100% pure thing. It's the exact opposite of the new rule number 1 on this channel, where I'm looking into the camera and maniacally telling you all to send me books. What can I say? She's just a better person. but one way or another, I think it would be extremely fitting for the St. Patrick's Day Challenge if we got her over the toad mark of 1,000 subscribers. I think that would be extremely fitting as a doff of the hat of gratitude for making this challenge in the first place. So that's mine for now. I could sing out smaller channels all the time, and this should be a reminder to me and to everybody else who's doing this to do that regularly. Do that regularly. Direct people to new channels regularly. Because not only does it give all of your normal viewers something new to contemplate subscribing to, but it's a burst to new channels that look at those numbers. And I mean, Barb and Isabella did a video on this very subject. They look at those numbers and live and die by them. They think Barb, the font, and Kit at Kit's World did a great video about the trials of a new booktuber and how that number can mean a lot. It as irrational as it is, it can feel like a measure of success or failure. It shouldn't at all. It's this that matters. It's the conversation that matters. If conversations are happening, then you have succeeded, even if you have 2 subscribers. But even so, the point of the challenge is to get those numbers up. So I'm going to leave links to all these channels. I urge you just to go and subscribe. I think you'll like them. But anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. That is my St. Patrick's Day challenge. But I am going to try to remember to keep doing this. Challenge or no challenge. To keep reminding you, to keep telling you about new channels. But in the meantime, I'm going to get going. But I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.